He wasn't unhappy. At least that's what he kept telling himself. He had stability, a routine, a life people admired from the outside. But every night, when the noise faded, something inside him whispered, "Is this really it?" Not loud enough to scare him, but quiet enough to haunt him. And the worst part? He had no reason to complain, yet everything inside him felt empty. Ethan had built a life most people dream of. A stable job, comfortable apartment, predictable days that never surprised him. And never disappointed him either. Everything was fine. And that was the problem. Every morning he woke up at the same time, drank the same coffee, walked the same road. Nothing was wrong, but nothing felt right either. People called it peace. But deep down, it felt more like silence. A silence so heavy, it slowly started to suffocate him. Chapter 2, The Quiet Battle Inside. He never talked about it. Because how do you explain feeling lost when your life looks completely okay? So he smiled. At work, with friends, even with himself. But inside, there was a constant question. What if I'm wasting my life safely? That thought scared him. Not because it was loud, but because it was true. Still, he ignored it. Because comfort is convincing. Tells you, stay here, you're safe. And fear adds, what if you leave and regret it? So he stayed, even when his heart quietly begged him not to. One evening, something small happened. Nothing dramatic. No tragedy. No crisis. Just a moment. He was sitting alone, scrolling through his phone, watching other people live lives that felt real. Laughing, traveling, taking risks. And suddenly he stopped. Not because he was inspired, but because he realized something painful. He wasn't jealous of their success. He was jealous of their courage. That hit him harder than anything else ever had. Because for the first time, he saw himself clearly. Not stuck, not unlucky, just afraid. And that night, for the first time in years, he didn't sleep. The next morning, he did something no one expected. He didn't plan it for months. He didn't overthink it. He just decided to leave. Not because he had everything figured out, but because he was tired of feeling nothing. His friends called it reckless. His family called it risky. And honestly, they weren't wrong, because he had no clear plan. No guarantee. Only one thing, a feeling that staying was slowly killing who he could become. So he walked away, from the safe job, from the routine, from the version of himself that felt incomplete. And for the first time, fear didn't stop him, followed him. The first few days were terrifying. No structure, no certainty, no clear direction, just silence again. But this time, it felt different. The silence didn't suffocate him. It invited him. For the first time in years, he started listening to himself. What he liked, what he wanted, what actually made him feel alive. And slowly, something began to change. Not his situation overnight, but his energy, his eyes, his thoughts. He wasn't successful, but he was awake. And that felt more real than anything he had before. Weeks passed, then months. Things didn't magically become easy. There were doubts. There were moments he questioned everything. But something had shifted inside him. He no longer feared uncertainty, because he realized something powerful. The real danger was never failing. It was living a life that never truly felt like his. And now, even on hard days, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Not loud, not perfect, but real. One day, someone asked him, was it worth it? He paused. Not because he didn't know the answer, but because he remembered who he used to be. The man who stayed, just because it was safe. And then he said quietly, I didn't leave to find success. I left to find myself. And for the first time, he truly meant it. Sometimes the biggest risk isn't stepping into the unknown, it's staying in a life that slowly drains you, just because it feels safe. Growth doesn't begin when you feel ready. It begins when you're honest enough to admit, "This isn't the life I want anymore,"